If you missed any of the Dragon Ball Tour exclusives, eBay will probably be flooded with them, and you might be able to find a deal at the link in the description down below. Dragon Ball, Pokemon, Kaiju, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors. It is Steven here, and today I got a review for you on this wonderful Figure Friday of the SH Figuarts Perfect Cell Event Exclusive Color Edition. This specific cell was only available at the Dragon Ball Tour 2018, but of course you'll be able to find it in the aftermarket, and it was one of, well, 4 figure exclusives, technically only 3 because they had an aura effect. Anyway, that's not the point, where we had a Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, or Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, and another Broly alongside this cell. Well, this cell is kind of the odd man out because it sports an odd color scheme, and it's about 60 to 70 bucks at the tour, more than 100 on the aftermarket. So is this oddly colored cell worth it? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not he's worth adding into your collection. So if you're checking out this review, you're probably asking yourself, where exactly does this coloration of cell come from? I've never seen this before. Well, actually, neither really did I, except for when I paid closer attention to some of the colored versions of Cell from the manga, and actually some of the very early video games where Cell was featured in color. That's right. Instead of using anime colors like they have for some of the previous event releases, like let's say Gohan or Goku or Piccolo, here they kind of did a flip. In some of the promotional images and stills for the manga where stuff was colorized, they actually had Cell with blue parts instead of purple throughout the majority of Cell's design except for the face. This is to coincide closer to the previous forms of Cell. Y'all caught up? Okay. Now, of course, the Figuarts does have a couple of issues in terms of the sculpt department, whether or not proportions are going to be correct. The face it's off when it comes to Cell, but what we're really looking at here is whether or not this figure has good quality to it and how the paint looks. And I do have to say, overall, except for a couple of issues with the faceplates, I think this Cell looks great. And it looks much better in hand than it actually does in some of the promotional pictures you've seen, and probably some of the pictures that you're going to be seeing in this review. The reason why I say that is, again, we do have a couple of issues with the faceplate, such as clumpy paint rubbed off on the nose here and there, but with this Cell, they did get the green down for the main body absolutely perfectly. I really like this color of green that they used. It's ever so slightly darker from the previous releases, but what I think really does stand out is that blue. It isn't just a simple slap of color on Cell. No, all of those blue parts actually have shading and a little bit of a gradient to them. This is specifically notable at the blue in the midsection where you can clearly see a transition of blue. It looks fantastic. Otherwise, for the main body, aside from some marks where you can see where stuff was pulled out of the mold, it's not that big of a deal. Overall, Cell looks really nice, and if you're a fan of this color scheme and you like unique figures, I do think you'll appreciate, just like I do, how nice this version of Cell looks. Now, Cell is quite an old figure by today's standards. There have been plenty of leaps and bounds in action figure engineering, especially from Bandai, so don't expect super over-the-top articulation from Cell, but let's take a look to see what he has, just as kind of a refresher, because this is the 3rd time the figure's been released. So, Cell's head is attached into the neck on a ball joint and a swivel combo, basically, so this way you can get Cell to look in all sorts of directions. And of course, the neck here, where it attaches into the body, is also on a ball joint, so he can definitely look down, but unfortunately, because of the sculpt of his head, he can't really look up too far. But of course, left and right, he is perfectly capable of doing that. For his shoulders, we do have the shoulder pads here that are on hinges that like to move up and down, so this way they can accommodate the actual hinges that are in the shoulders themselves. So this way, you can move them around, no problem, along with maybe moving them out of the way in case you need to move his arm backwards. Now, what's also cool about that is Cell's shoulders plug into the body on ball joints. This way you can move them around like so. You can get swivel movement out of them along with forward and back movement, all sorts of movement. Basically, Cell's shoulders are fine there. Nothing to worry about. We do have bicep swivels, which are, of course, a standard for action figures, so good there. We do have double hinge elbows, but the way that the one hinge sits in the bicep, you might not get too much movement out of that hinge. So effectively, we just get a fancy one hinge range of movement there. Typical SH Figuarts style wrist joints where we do have a swivel where they plug into the forearm and then hinge in one direction. We can also switch up that hinge so this way we can get Cell's hand to move another direction, and then the hand rests in the wrist on a ball joint. We do have a ball jointed ab crunch here, as you can clearly see. The original release, mine anyway, this was super loose, so I am very glad to see that this is fine. We can twist and turn from side to side, forward and back. Perfect range of movement there. Now we do have two ball joints here for the waist joint, so this way we can move Cell even more. Fantastic side to side movement, forward and back movement, but what's even cooler, not the character by the way, we have a pop-up. So this way, we get even more range of movement out of Cell's mid-range. Range out of the mid-range. So yeah, really, really great there. He does tend to get a little lanky looking that way, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's move to the back here real quick where we take a look at Cell's wings, and they have full ball joint range of movement there, coupled with a hinge to really allow Cell's wings to move. So that is fantastic. These do not get in the way of any of your poses at all, so you don't have to worry about that, and they really do add to the overall aerodynamics of Cell. Anyway, moving on from there, we do have the original SH Figuarts style hip joints, so where the legs plug into the hips at the thighs, those are on ball joints. This way we can move Cell. His legs around just like so, about that far forward and back, that far out, and I do say that far out because they do have a pull-down hinge. Oddly enough, once you do get that pull-down hinge, this little lip on the thigh kind of moves into the waist. So as you can see there, you do get actually more range of movement if you don't pull the legs down, at least side to side movement anyway. So there's that. So we do have a thigh swivel right there where the hip area plugs in, so that's nice. We do have the usual double hinged knees, which is great. We have ball jointed ankles, which they work for Cell. Unfortunately, the overall design here does not work in Cell's favor, but we do have a toe hinge. So we do get a little bit of ankle rocker movement, a little bit of forward and back movement, basically the bare minimum out of the feet. So overall, Cell's movement, it is pretty good. The articulation, it gets 1 thumbs up, but I do believe if they did a 2.0 with today's standards for the SH Figuarts line, this would get blown clear out of the water. But it's still good. Accessories time, and you know the game here. Third time's the charm. We do obviously have 3 faceplates. We do have, in total, 4 sets of hands, including the fists. We have crossed arm parts, and of course, we have the Kamehameha effect part. Yes, the Kamehameha, and it's not anything else. Actually, all kidding aside, I do like this Kamehameha, but we're going to be taking a look at that at the end, because I really want you to watch. All right, so first and foremost, we're going to be taking a quick look at the hands, and I got to be honest with you, they're pretty straightforward. Obviously, we do get the fists that you have seen plenty throughout this review, but we do also get sort of splayed out key firing hands. We do get some karate hands, so this way if you want to put them in an action pose, you can. And we do get the Kamehameha hands, which are, of course, crucial to Cell, especially when he comes with an effect part. Now, something else to go with the arms and the hands and whatnot, Cell does come with folded arm parts, which I gotta be honest with you, I understand why they include it. You probably want to recreate an iconic scene or two where Cell or Frieza or Vegeta has their arms folded up, but every time I'm swapping out the parts, I'm afraid I'm gonna snap the peg for the bicep, but anyway, here's how you do swap out the arms. You can just imagine the process in reverse here if you wanted to do that. So very easy, you just pull Cell's arm off and then you just reattach the parts as needed. Just a quick demonstration for you. Now we're going to move on over to the faceplates, and Cell only comes with 3 of them, but I think it is good enough for Cell. We do get, obviously, the normal resting face, where, you know, he's kind of scary. Then we have the face where Cell really makes it clear to Vegeta that, yeah, he probably shouldn't have let him absorb 18, and then we do have that angry yelling face where Cell is firing off a ki blast, or attacking, or, I don't know, getting punched in the gut, whatever you would like it to be. To swap out Cell's faces, all you have to do is pop the head off, slide the face down that you'll want to remove, then slide the face that you want on Cell up in there in the head, pop it back on, and you are good to go. That ball joint that Cell's head rests on is kind of small, so just be careful swapping stuff out. Now, finally, for the accessories, we do have the Kamehameha effect part, and really I do like this one. It is a nice, clear, translucent blue. I really can't see anything floating around in the plastic, except for you do see a little bit of flash marks here and there where it was removed from the mold. Not too big of a deal. It does kind of ruin the illusion, but the base looks fantastic as well. We see the return of that ground piece with some of the key aura flying up as well, whatever you want to call it, and it is very nice. Just keep in mind that it can kind of be a little awkward popping in those two little energy blasts that are coming up, so just pay attention to how you're popping everything in. Now, overall, for the accessories for Cell, I do think we get a pretty solid amount here. The only thing that I think that maybe they could have thrown in was maybe another faceplate or two, but other than that, Cell comes with basically everything that you're going to need. Maybe a Destructo Disc effect? I don't know. Whatever. I think for the price point, we do get a solid amount. And of course, if you ever want any more, there's that card in the top right-hand corner of your screen. Maybe instead of Cell just firing that Kamehameha, we get some blue flames to go with it too. I can show you a couple of those effects. Now, here comes a section where I would say, here's a comparison with the original, but I sold my original because it had quite a few quality control issues, which thankfully this one does not have. So if you do want to check out that review, there's a card in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Go ahead and click on that. Just be warned, it is a bit old, so it's not Canon Rebel T5 quality. Yeah. Anyway, here's a size comparison for you where you can see just exactly how big Cell is in case you needed a reminder. And as you can see, I don't really think that this is the appropriate sizing for Cell. I think he should just be a little taller and a little beefier. But at the end of the day, I do think that this Cell looks just fine enough on your Dragon Ball shelf. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Gotta be honest with you here for this particular release of Cell, and this is going to kind of be a no-duh statement. I would say only go for this one if you really like the colors, right? Because if you just want a Cell in your collection, right now the Premium Color Edition is still available on the market for about MSRP. And this one, it's going for, what's that? It retailed for about $60 at the tour, and now we're looking at about $110 on sites like eBay without any discounts you might be able to find. So, do keep that in mind. Thankfully, I took mine home for about $75 shipped, and I am happy with that. I am thrilled. I love this coloration of Cell, and even if they do a 2.0, I will still be happy with mine. At the end of the day, though, don't let anything fool you. This release not only looks really cool, very unique coloration, but overall, it's a very solid product. Well, folks, that's the end of this review. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow me on social media to catch more behind-the-scenes shenanigans and updates. The end card should be popping up now with more hand-selected STR goodness for you to watch, so check out some of those videos. Be sure to check the description, too, to see where you can buy this figure or others like it, and some cool links like the credits for this video and other ways you can help out the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.